Okay, so here we are live once again with another DC Multiverse unboxing from Mcfarlane Toys, and this is Batman Mcfarlane Collector Edition, which means it's overpriced. And we can see this isn't just any ordinary Batman. This is a Bat-Manga Batman. Yes, indeed, from the far off, far east, from the island nation of Japan. We have the manga version of Batman. So I'd mentioned this when I was unboxing the last batch of 1966 Batman figures that I got. I'd mentioned that I had this guy, showed him off a little bit, was looking forward to opening, and I'd talked a little bit about how he actually had a little bit of 1966 pedigree to him too. So we'll get a little deeper into that right now. So, in the late part of the 60s, as with many other places in the world, Japan was hit by Batmania. And not long after the show premiered in the United States, they brought it over to Japan, very popular over there. And Batman wound up starring in some actual Japanese comic books. A lot of them were adaptations, I think maybe all of them were adaptations of various American comic book stories. The most famous of which was the Lord Deathman story, adapted from a story here in the United States where Batman fought against Deathman, but the Japanese, sorry, I almost said Chinese. The Japanese added a little bit of formality to the character by calling him Lord Deathman. And that was the version of the character that Grant Morrison had discovered and thought, hey, this guy's really cool. I'm going to bring him back, and made him a Japanese crime lord in that version. So I've read the American Deathman story, and I've read the manga version, although it's been a while since I've read either one of them. But I definitely do prefer the Japanese version. I think that they did a better job with the story than the American version, and made Lord Deathman a much creepier character than he was. Now, McFarlane hasn't done a Lord Deathman figure yet. I imagine they will at some point, but until then, I do have the Masterverse Scareglow figure, so I can use him as a substitute for Lord Deathman. I think he's about the right size. He should look pretty good with this guy. So he's got a lot of cool, unique accessories, and I'm sure some of these were in the manga, but I don't remember them. They might have been in the Lord Deathman story, and I just don't remember them, or they might have been in other Bat-Manga stories. I should really read more of those. So credit where credit is due department. I want to give a shout out to Chip Kidd, the graphic designer, probably most famous for designing the Jurassic Park logo. He did the Jurassic Park book jacket and designed that logo. And a huge Batman fan, and he's got like a lot of Batman pedigree himself, going all the way back to the Andrew Vax novel, The Ultimate Evil. Chip Kidd did the book cover for that, which I believe he photographed a Batman action figure for it. Because, like I said, big collector of Batman merchandise himself. He was the guy who really popularized Bat-Manga in the United States. One of his many Batman projects was a book called Batman Collected, where he photographed a lot of his own Batman collection, other people's Batman items, and he showed off a lot of his Japanese Batman items, because that was something that he had a particular passion for, and he himself was the one who first brought the Bat-Manga here to America. He was the guy who curated the stories that were reprinted here in the United States. One of the first of which was that Lord Deathman story that Grant Morrison ran across. So anyway, I'm really excited to open this guy up, so let's go ahead and do that. Oh, and I've got a couple other figures over here to compare them to, because we do have the Nightfall Batman, which reuses a lot of the parts from that. And I also have, still in the package, although we know I've opened one of these before, the Superpowers version of Bat-Manga. So we can see those side by side. And of course, I've got like a few of these that I still have in the package because I bought them for customizing purposes. By the way, here's one I'm working on right now. Not quite finished yet. He still needs a little bit of touch up here and there, but this is uh, the Dark Allegiance version of Batman from that Elseworld story. So I really like that one. It's a Howard Chaykin Batman comic. I really enjoyed it. So decided to make a figure of that version of Batman. Like I said, he still needs a little bit of work, but you can see how he's coming along. Anyway, go ahead and get this out of here. They've started doing the bottom of these differently, so it's a little more involved opening them up at the bottom now than it used to be. But still not particularly difficult. So, all right, so let's have a look. See, we've got the trading card stand, which is always nice to have. Although I don't feel like it entirely justifies these being as expensive as they are. They should probably be like about $5 cheaper right now. So the collector edition ones, I just think that's just price gouging. That's why I don't buy a whole lot of the collector edition ones. I tend to cherry pick them. Like I still haven't gotten Captain Boomerang yet. I probably should get Captain Boomerang because he is a figure. But okay, so this is an interesting bio on the back because it's not just the same bio of Batman that we get every single time. If I'd have known that all this stuff was going to be on here, I probably would have cut the chase and just read this. Trade it, but here we go. At Batman, Bat-Manga, data file. At the height of the 1960s Batman television show's popularity, a shonen manga magazine in Japan serialized 53 chapters starring the Dark Knight, which were all written by Jiro Kuwata. I'm sorry, got a little dyslexic there. That's my fault. Jiro Kuwata. These rare Batman tales were known by relatively few outside Japan until award-winning designer Chip Kidd's 2008 book Bat-Manga, The Secret History of Batman in Japan, Pantheon Books, which introduced them to a whole new generation of Batman fans. This is all the stuff I already just said. If I'd have known it was going to be on the trading card, I would have just said, hey, let's just read the oh well, whatever. So we'll go ahead and put that on the trading card stand. There we go. Same picture we got on the back. Nice picture of Batman with his bat line in hand. No doubt he's roped some kind of evildoer Robin, the Boy Wonder, down here at the corner. They could probably do a Robin for this line too. Maybe they could reuse the Carrie Kelly body again, like they did for that Dick Grayson figure I was never able to acquire. So anyway, I've got a nice collection of trading card stands over there. It's starting to pile up. You know, I was thinking also what would be really cool, and I think I'd mentioned this before in my videos, is to see the Adam West Batman redecoed in the Bat-Manga colors. I think that would be really sweet. And they can maybe even reuse this Filmation head if they wanted a little more comic booky. But I think it'd work fine with like the regular Adam West head too, but whatever. Okay, so there are quite a few accessories over in here, so let's go over them real quick. First of all, we have this top, and I'm not familiar with the story that's in. I should probably just read the rest of these. I did like that Lord Deathman story enough that it would probably make sense to read the rest of these. And this thing, which looks like some kind of like electronic wand or stun gun or something like, I don't know what it is, because need to read more of those stories. And then very securely taped into this package, we have this bat rope. So I'm gonna, it's literally the entire bat rope is taped in here. Like they have the whole section that the bat rope fits into. There we go. And you can see there's a very small grappling hook at the end of it. And the bat rope itself seems to be just kind of like a nylon cord. It's tied into a knot at the top. I will not be untying this cord. And by not, I mean N-O-T, not K-N-O-T. There was not a pun intended there. But now that I see it, I kind of wish I had intended the pun. I would have been proud of that. All right, where else? Where were we? Okay, so we have a very large and very cool Batarang. It's a bit bigger than what we're used to with the batarangs that come with the comic book Batmans, but I feel like it is pretty accurate to a Silver Age style batarang. It is in red, which for those of you who don't know, it's pretty common in manga for the comics to be black and white and sometimes have red mixed into them. And it's kind of an orangey red. Like you can see it on the back of the package here. And that way they could print a much lighter version of it for flesh color, as you can see on Batman and Robin here, or a slightly darker version of that for more of an orangish tan kind of color. And we can see that on Batman's utility belt and its emblem when we get the figure out. So they managed to capture that shade pretty well, I think. Batman's skin color matches what we see on the figure, and the utility belt matches what we see on the package. Now, Batman's cape does look a bit darker because it has a bit more shading to it, and it probably wasn't intended to be this flat gray that we see it interpreted as in the action figures. But, you know, the gray is what it was colored. It was colored gray, at least a gray highlight. So I do feel like that this is accurate to the if not necessarily the spirit of it, at least like, you know, the technical color. So let's go ahead and cut the dreaded double rubber tabs around his ankles. Why is double rubber tabs around his ankles and wrists? I don't know. Is there even? I don't think there is a rubber tab around his left hand, just around his right hand at the wrist. And it doesn't seem to be any rubber band around the torso, so that's good. All right, so let's go ahead and get Batman out of the package. Very carefully pull this cape through the opening. Shasha. And there he is. Let's have a look at the hands that he came with real quick. So on the figure, we have a gripping hand and a pointing hand. And the hands that are in the package is we have 2 more gripping hands and 2 more solid fist hands. And the gripping hand that's on the figure has like a trigger finger on it. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the figure itself. Great head sculpt. I really like this head sculpt. It is a very Silver Age feeling head sculpt. I don't know if it's really coming across on the screen all that well, but he's got this great expression on his face where like he's baring his teeth somewhat. And depending on the angle you look at it, he could be smiling or he could be grimacing. It's that kind of He-Man effect on the vintage He-Man sculpt where like sometimes it looks kind of like he's smiling and sometimes it looks kind of like he's grimacing. I always like the ambiguity of that original He-Man sculpt, and this Batman has that kind of ambiguity to it as well. It does have a very Silver Age sort of look to it, like you could imagine it being like a Carmine Infantino Batman pretty easily, or I think it would also work really well as a Dick Sprang type of Batman, even though it's not like exactly like either one of those. It's got the same sort of feel to it of like Silver Age comics, so that's nice. It looks like to me the only differences between the sculpt of manga Batman and Nightfall Batman is the head sculpt obviously is different, the utility belt obviously is different, and the emblems obviously are different. And I do believe that that is a separate piece of plastic that is inlaid in there, not like part of the same mold. So but it does look like it's actually like, at least on the Nightfall Batman, it looks like it's embedded in there. So so they can probably swap out whatever kind of emblem they want to in there. And this one definitely has more of a Silver Age type of look to it. The Superpowers manga Batman also had its own unique bat emblem. And both of these bat emblems are different from each other. You can see that this one, the Superpowers one, it has more of that sort of thing where the Batwing shape conforms to the oval, whereas this one's more of a regular looking bat that doesn't quite conform to the shape of the oval. It does a little bit, but not as much as you might think. Like I said, the colors on this are really good. You've got that bluish gray kind of color. It's got just enough blue in there where it looks like a classic Batman, but still gray enough that it looks like the manga Batman. He's got white eyebrows, which again, if we look at the artwork here, he was drawn in the comic book with white eyebrows. They didn't color the eyebrows. They didn't color the eyebrows gray like how they color the eyebrows blue in the comics in the American comics. And again, as he's drawn in the manga, although you can't really see it in this picture, but a lot of the times, I guess maybe sometimes he did and sometimes he didn't, but you can see it in the artwork that they have on the Superpowers Batman. He's got that white trim at the end of his gloves and at the tops of his boots. So there we go. But yeah, I believe that this utility belt and this head and this emblem are all new sculpts. I haven't seen them on anything else anyway. But if they did want to reuse this head for a more just regular American comic book version of a Silver Age Batman, I think that would work really well. Probably what I would do if I wanted to do a Silver Age Batman, if Mcfarlane asked me to, like, what parts should we use for a Silver Age Batman, I would probably go with all the parts from this particular Batman, but swap out the capsule belt from the Nightfall Batman. And I think that would be a perfect Silver Age Batman, and color it like in this kind of style. So, still give it the black shading on the face, blue eyebrows, blue nose, blue cape and cowl, blue boots, blue gloves, blue trunks, yellow utility belt like this. That's how I would do that. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about his articulation. So Batman can look up about that far. He can look down about that far. He can tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. The arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, and they move up about that far. So not too bad on the range of motion on the arms. There is a bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all the way around. There is a double joint at the elbow, and that's about the range of motion you get at the elbow. So really good range of motion on those elbows. Got the cool Mcfarlane wrist joints, so those can move any which way you want them to, because it's on those cool ball joints. So you can really get pretty much any kind of pose out of this wrist you could possibly want. So that's really cool. He's got the cool Mcfarlane torso articulation, so we can move that around any which way you want. Get all kinds of dynamic poses out of that. Leg kicks up about that far, so not too bad. He's obviously got double jointed knees. And that's about the range of motion you get on the knee. Not a perfect bend, but I think if you can probably get it into a better bend if you want to. I'm saying I didn't get into a perfect bend, not that it doesn't bend perfectly. So ankle can bend down about that far, bend up about that far. It is on the rocker kind of joint, so you can move it around any which way you want. It's that cool Mcfarlane ball joint. No boot cut, but with this type of ball joint at the wrist, you don't really need a boot cut. And he has the toe articulation just to show off. So let's go ahead and have a look at him holding some of these accessories. So first of all, we'll do the bat rope. And I figure that should be pretty simple. And like I said, I'm not going to be unraveling this bat rope. It's staying tied up like this. Because I know if I try to untie it, it'll just become a tangled mess. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. But there he is holding the bat rope. He does look pretty cool holding that. And, we can pretend like he's about to sling that grappling hook. But like I said, and of course let's go ahead and just put the top in his hand. And it's kind of like the shape of it. It's going to be hard to get him to hold it in any real way, but you can kind of balance it on it. If you wanted to pose him on your shelf, you could have him with it balanced like that if you wanted that. Or we could try to pinch the narrow end of the top between the fingers. So there we go. So that's another way you can do that. And then, of course, this particular device. I wonder if it says anywhere on the package what this is supposed to be. I don't see any kind of text or anything about it. So I guess I'm just going to have to go back and read some of those manga Batman comics. Oh no, I got to read comic books. Jeez. But there he is with that. It kind of reminds me of like an baton, not ass baton. That'd be gross. An asp, like a snake baton, like a collapsible baton. But it probably wasn't that because they hadn't really invented that yet in the '60s. So it looks to me like it's some kind of like almost like something kind of hit somebody with it, kind of tap them with it, and it'd have like a taser kind of shock to it, like supposed to be like a knockout stick or whatever. And of course, the accessory that is the rock star of the set, because of course, Batman should always come with a batarang, and doesn't always come with a batarang, but he should. Damn it! I was always really disappointed that like the Batman figures that I had when I was a kid, you know, the Mego Batman or the Superpowers Batman, none of them ever came with batarangs. It wasn't until Toy Biz that Batman came with a batarang. And we all know the Toy Biz figures. I've talked about those before. Those weren't the best superhero figures. But still, they gave Batman a batarang, so they deserve a little bit of credit, don't they? Try to get him into a cool batarang throwing pose. Yeah, there we go. And I do like the red of the batarang. I feel like that kind of, it looks pretty striking in his hand. It's definitely eye-catching. Since it is so big, it you know, I can't quite get it into the kind of grip I would really want to get it into. Maybe if I tried to fit the trigger finger, oh, damn, I dropped it. If I tried to, and when I dropped it, like I had that Ming figure down there with the red cape, and the red batarang fell on the red cape, and I'm like, oh great, now I lost. No, there it is. It's in Ming's cape. So I got a box of stuff at my feet. Hmm. Since it is a little larger, it's a little bit more difficult for it to get it into the hand as well as I would like, if I'm being honest about it. But it does look cool. You know, even if he just, I can't quite get the kind of grip on it I would want it to have. It's because it's kind of thin. Like it's big, but it's thin. That's what she said. There we go. Now I got the trigger finger around it like I wanted to. So now we're talking. That is a cool looking Batman. Cool looking battery. He's about to throw it at a bad guy. This joint's kind of thick, kind of stuck up a little bit. And that pointing finger, it works really well with the, probably the same pointing finger that came with the Riddler. I wish I'd oh, I got the Riddler right here. I'm pretty sure I got the pointing finger on them. It actually is not, because Batman has his thumb folded in like this while he's pointing, and the Riddler has his thumb extended while he's pointing. And plus, Batman's hands are much bigger than the Riddler's. Riddler's got tiny little hands. I don't think they're quite as tiny as Kid Flash. Poor old Kid Flash. I thought I had Kid Flash over here. Still. Because now I want to see how his hands look against Kid Flash. Is that him there? Is he? No, that's regular Flash. Yeah, here's Kid Flash. Yeah, Kid Flash has got some tiny hands. The Riddler's hands, like at least the pointing hand, probably isn't quite as big as it should be, but it's still not as puny as Kid Flash's hands. Kid Flash's hands are just like microscopic. Anyway, we can see Batman with the Riddler, and that looks pretty cool. And since I'm pretty sure I saw him around here somewhere. That reminds me, I promised you guys once I found the Riddler, I would take a picture of all the big four Batman villains together with the clown version of the Joker. And I know I had him over here, but now I don't see what I did with him. It's getting kind of frustrating. I need to clean some of this stuff up. I just got too much stuff on this desk right now. And I know I saw that Joker. Where did he go? Oh, he's under this napkin. I told you I got all kinds of crap on here. I don't even know where that map came. Well, I guess it came Quick Trip, but so here he is. This is the most 60s Joker that I have in the multiverse scale. I'm really excited because I saw they were coming out with like an Arthur Fleck Joker finally, and it's going to be in a set with Murray Franklin, so that should be fun. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, he does look cool. This is since it is kind of a 1960s style Batman, it makes sense to put him up against a 1960s style Joker. So they look really cool. I don't know if the Joker ever was in the manga. I don't remember ever seeing him. You would think they would put up pictures of a manga Joker if they had one, but I never saw one. So anyway, him back down. Manga Batman's really cool. I'm really happy with how he turned out. I do really like this color scheme. It's a it's a unique color scheme, but it's still like a very classic Batman sort of color scheme. It's like the eye kind of plays tricks on me and makes me think of this as being a blue and gray costume, even though it's just a gray and gray costume. But it's still in my eye. My mind's eye kind of makes it into the blue and gray suit, which I think is really cool. I love the head sculpt. It's just fantastic. It maybe does look a little meaner than than a Silver Age Batman has any right to be, but I'm not going to complain about it. I think he looks awesome, and he's got like a little bit of age to his face too. He's got like some lines there and some creases. He got a little cleft in his chin. It's a really nice head sculpt. Now that having been said, if you do already have the Nightfall Batman, it's pretty much the same sculpt, so you're not really getting anything new as far as that goes, except for a new head and emblem and belt. But I really like this figure, and I think it works out really well. And the new head sculpt, I think I like this head sculpt even better than the Nightwing head sculpt or Nightfall head sculpt, to be honest. But I'm really happy with how it's turned out. So even though it's a little overpriced, like the collector edition figures tend to be, I don't regret spending that little bit extra money, even though I would have preferred if it was cheaper. Oh well. Whatevs. That's pretty much it for this episode. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I've got a lot more cool stuff coming this week because I got some more superpowers. I've got 2 of the new wave of superpowers, and I'll probably be opening those up soon. And I've got the classic Green Arrow figure, the Longbow Hunters Green Arrow. Been looking forward to opening that too. So I'll have those to open for you this week, and maybe a couple of other surprises. Who knows? But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, huh? All right. So if you want to make sure you don't miss that, make sure you like and subscribe. All the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure and the character of Batman in general, and the character of Batman in the manga version specific. Do you know what those other extra accessories are and what story they were in? If so, let me know. I'd like to read those stories especially and figure out where they're from. Like I said, they might have even been from the Lord Deathman story, but it's been so long since I read it, I honestly don't remember. But anyway, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.